Right now, as you're listening to this, someone is making a decision that will destroy your career. They don't know you. They've never met you. But their move, happening at this very moment in a boardroom 3,000 miles away, will ripple through the market and hit your life like a freight train in 6 months. And when it does, you'll have two choices. You can react, or you can respond strategically. One of those choices makes you a victim. The other makes you a master. For the next few minutes, we're going to learn how to stop being moved by the world and start moving it ourselves. Most people believe strategy is about planning. That belief is why so many intelligent people make poor decisions. Strategy is not about having more information. It's about how you think before you act. Because here's the truth most people will never accept. You are either the strategist or you are part of someone else's strategy. There is no third option. Let me tell you about two companies that faced the exact same crisis at the exact same time. Company A. In the winter of 1998, they sat in a mahogany-paneled boardroom. The CEO looked at the chart. Their line was going up. They controlled 90% of the global film market. Revenue, $16 billion. Profit margins, 70%. They looked at the rise of digital cameras and said, "That's a toy. Our customers love film. We have the patents. We'll be fine." Company B. Same year. Same technology shift. But their CEO stood up and said, "Film is dying. We have 5 years, maybe less, to become something else entirely." Company A was Kodak. Company B was Fujifilm. Today, Kodak is a case study taught in business schools as a warning. They filed for bankruptcy in 2012. Thousands of employees lost everything. Fujifilm, they're a $20 billion global powerhouse. They pivoted into high-end chemicals, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and digital imaging. Same storm, completely different outcome. Here's what haunts me about this story. Kodak invented the digital camera in 1975. Read that again. They invented the technology that would destroy them. They had a 23-year head start. They had the engineers, the capital, the market dominance, everything. But they had the wrong mindset. Kodak operated in what I call the reactive loop. When the market moved, they defended their position. They asked, "How do we protect what we have?" Fujifilm operated in the proactive loop. They asked, "How do we become what the future demands?" One mindset led to survival. The other led to extinction. And here's the terrifying part. You make Kodak-style decisions every single day without realizing it. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you anticipated a problem before it arrived? Not reacted to it, not scrambled to fix it, but saw it coming 6 months out and positioned yourself so that when it hit, you were already 3 steps ahead? If you can't remember, you're in the reactive loop. And that loop is a trap. Because reactive people work harder, sleep less, and stay stuck longer than anyone else. They're always busy, always stressed, always one crisis away from collapse. Strategic thinkers, on the other hand, look calm. They work less, they sleep better, and they keep winning. Why? Because they've learned to think 10 steps ahead. And that's exactly what you're about to learn. Before we talk about strategy, we need to talk about the war inside your skull. Most people think strategic thinking is an intellectual skill, something you learn in business school or pick up from books. It's not. Strategic thinking is a biological victory. Inside your brain, there are 2 ancient systems locked in a constant battle for control. System 1, the amygdala. This is the oldest part of your brain. It evolved millions of years ago when survival meant one thing: don't get eaten. The amygdala is fast. It's loud. And it's terrified. When your boss sends a cryptic, "We need to talk," email at 8 p.m., the amygdala floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart races. Your vision narrows. Your hands go cold. This is the fight or flight response. And in that state, you are biologically incapable of thinking strategically. Your brain has shut down the long-term planning department to power the "don't die right now" department. System 2, the prefrontal cortex. This is the youngest part of your brain. It's the seat of logic, empathy, and foresight. It's the part of you that can see a decision today and calculate its ripple effects 5 years from now. But here's the problem. The amygdala is a sprinter. The prefrontal cortex is a marathon runner. In a crisis, the amygdala always reaches the steering wheel first. And that's why people send the angry email. Sell the stock at the bottom of the crash. Quit the project right before the breakthrough. They're being driven by fear, not vision. Here's how you break the cycle. When a threat appears, when your amygdala starts screaming, you don't act. You don't even speak. You create a 5-second gap. In those 5 seconds, you do one thing. You observe the chemical surge without obeying it. You say to yourself, my body is reacting, but my mind is observing. Let me give you an example. Olivia gets an email from a client saying, we're moving to your competitor. Effective immediately, their amygdala explodes. They fire back an angry response. After everything we did for you? This is unprofessional. Good luck with them. 2 weeks later, the competitor screws up. The client wants to come back. But person A burned the bridge. They lost a $200,000 annual contract because of a 30-second emotional reaction. Sally gets the same email. Their amygdala surges. But they pause. 5 seconds. They breathe. They ask, what outcome do I want here? Then they respond, I'm sorry to hear that. If it doesn't work out, we'd be happy to reconnect. Thank you for the opportunity to work together. 3 weeks later, the client comes back. They sign a bigger contract. Why? Because person B was the only vendor who didn't make it personal. Same situation. Same emotional trigger. Completely different outcome. The only difference? Sally mastered the 5-second gap. Now that you've reclaimed control of your brain, we face the next challenge. The modern world is designed to hijack your attention. Every notification, every headline, every urgent task, they're all fighting for your amygdala's attention. And if you try to respond to all of it, you'll drown. So the question becomes, how do you know what to focus on? How do you separate the noise from the signal? That's what we're covering next. Let me tell you about 2 entrepreneurs who launched competing businesses in the same week. Entrepreneur Adam woke up every morning and checked 14 different sources: Twitter, LinkedIn, Reddit, industry newsletters, competitor websites, stock prices, Google Trends. They were always informed, always up to date, always reacting to the latest shift. And after 18 months, they were exhausted. Their business had grown 12%. They were working 70-hour weeks, and they couldn't figure out why they felt like they were running in place. Entrepreneur Bell woke up every morning and asked one question. If I ignore this today, will it matter in 6 months? They ignored 90% of the daily news cycle. They ignored Twitter drama. They ignored short-term market fluctuations. Instead, they focused on 3 things. What are my customers struggling with that they haven't told me yet? What new technology looks like a toy today but could be infrastructure tomorrow? What habit, if I do it every day for a year, will compound into massive leverage? After 18 months, their business grew 340%. They worked 35-hour weeks. And they were just getting started. Same market, same resources, completely different strategies. The difference? Entrepreneur Bell understood the distinction between noise and signal. Noise is high volume, high emotion, and short-lived. It's the breaking news alert, the viral tweet, the urgent email that doesn't actually move the needle. Noise is designed to trigger your amygdala. It demands a reaction. Signal is quiet. It's low volume, low emotion, and long-lived. It's the subtle shift in consumer behavior, the emerging technology that seems irrelevant today, the compounding effect of a small daily habit. Think of a chess grandmaster. A novice looks at the board and sees 32 pieces, each screaming for attention. They feel overwhelmed. A grandmaster sees 90% of the board as irrelevant. They focus only on the critical squares, the 3 to 4 positions where the game will actually be won or lost. They ignore the noise. They hunt for the signal. Now let's talk about the tool everyone thinks they know: SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Most people sit down, fill out the 4 boxes, and think they've done strategy. They haven't. They've done a grocery list. Here's the problem. A static list doesn't tell you what to do. It just tells you what is. But strategy isn't about observation. It's about leverage. So we're going to upgrade SWOT into what I call SWOT 2.0, the cross-impact matrix. The magic isn't in the categories. It's in the intersections. When you cross your strengths with your opportunities, or your weaknesses with your threats, you unlock four distinct plays. Let me show you. Play 1. The offensive move, strength plus opportunity. This is where you have a clear advantage and the wind is at your back. Example: you're a developer with deep expertise in AI automation, strength, and there's a sudden explosion in demand for AI tools, opportunity. You don't just participate. You dominate. You go all in. You overinvest. You take market share while everyone else is still figuring out if this is real. Play 2. The defensive move, strength plus threat. This is where you use your power to build a moat. Example: you have a loyal, engaged community of 10,000 customers, strength, and a massive competitor enters with a $50 million marketing budget, threat. You don't try to outspin them. You double down on what they can't buy, intimacy. You make your relationship with your customers so personal, so deep, that no amount of corporate money can pull them away. Play 3. The pivot move, weakness plus opportunity. This is the most underrated play in the book. Example: you're a small e-commerce brand with no logistics infrastructure, weakness, but Amazon opens its fulfillment network to third parties, opportunity. You don't try to build warehouses. You outsource your weakness to someone else's strength. You pivot. Play 4. The survival move, weakness plus threat. This is the kill switch. Example: you have high debt, weakness, and interest rates are spiking, threat. This is not the time to hope it gets better. This is the time to cut, liquidate, exit. You move before the trap closes. Let me show you how this works in the real world. In 2007, Netflix had a strength. They were the dominant DVD by mail service. But they also saw a threat. Streaming technology was emerging, and if someone else built the streaming platform first, Netflix would become blockbuster. So they made a move that seemed insane at the time. They threatened their own business. They launched Netflix streaming, even though it cannibalized their profitable DVD service. Wall Street analysts called it suicide. Their stock dropped. But Netflix understood something critical. It's better to disrupt yourself than to be disrupted by someone else. Today, Netflix is a $150 billion company. And Blockbuster is a punchline. That's SWAT 2.0 in action. Now let's talk about execution. SWAT 2.0 gives you the map. But maps don't win wars. Speed does. This is where we introduce the ODA loop. Developed by Colonel John Boyd, a legendary fighter pilot, ODA stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. Boyd discovered that in aerial dogfights, the pilot who could cycle through this loop fastest almost always won. Not the fastest plane, the fastest mind. Here's how it works. Step 1. Observe. You collect raw data. No emotions. No interpretations. Just facts. Sales dropped 15% this month. That's an observation. Everyone hates us is an emotion. Ignore it. Step 2. Orient. This is the most important step. You take the observation and run it through your SWOT 2.0. You run it through your long-term goals. You ask, in the context of my 10-year vision, what does this 15% drop actually mean? Step 3. Decide. Most people get stuck here. They suffer from analysis paralysis. A strategist knows a 70% certain decision made today is better than a 99% certain decision made next month. You pick a course. You commit. Step 4. Act. You execute. But here's the secret. The moment you act, you're already back at step 1. You're observing the results. You're cycling again. The goal isn't to be right the first time. The goal is to be less wrong faster. We've talked about the map. We've talked about the loop. Now let's talk about the dimension that separates the amateur from the master: time. Most people are trapped in the now. They make decisions based on how they feel in the current minute. That's why they eat junk food. That's why they scream in traffic. That's why they give up on their dreams when the work gets hard. They're optimizing for the next 60 seconds of comfort. Strategic thinkers use a tool I call the October 10 rule. When you face a high-stakes choice, you ask 3 questions. How will I feel about this in 10 minutes? How will I feel about this in 10 months? How will I feel about this in 10 years? Let me give you 2 examples. Your client sends you a passive-aggressive message questioning your competence. Your amygdala explodes. You want to fire back a scathing response. 10 minutes from now, you'll feel great. You defended yourself. Emotional release. 10 months from now, you've lost a $150,000 contract. Your reputation in the industry took a hit. 10 years from now, that lost relationship cost you 3 referrals, 2 partnerships, and a career-defining opportunity. 1 email. A lifetime of consequences. You set your alarm for 5 a.m. to work on your side business before your day job starts. The alarm goes off. It's cold. The bed is warm. 10 minutes from now, hitting snooze feels amazing. 10 months from now, your side business never launched. You're still stuck in the same job, complaining about the same problems. 10 years from now, you're telling your kids, I had an idea once, but I just never got around to it. Versus 10 minutes from now, waking up sucks. 10 months from now, you've built a $5,000 per month side income. 10 years from now, you've replaced your salary. You're financially free. You're building generational wealth. Strategic thinking is the art of sacrificing the 10-minute now to win the 10-year forever. The world will try to move you. Markets will crash. People will betray you. Algorithms will change. If you are a leaf, you will be blown wherever the wind dictates. You'll spend your life complaining about the weather. But the strategist is not the leaf. The strategist is the wind. To become the wind, you must develop what I call strategic detachment. You stop taking the world personally. When a competitor moves against you, you don't get angry. You get curious. You look at their move as a data point in a game. Think like a chess grandmaster. When a grandmaster loses a pawn, they don't scream at the board. They don't cry. They look at the new configuration and think, interesting. That diagonal didn't exist 10 seconds ago. How do I use this? They turn every loss into a reveal. This is the secret of anti-fragility. You don't just survive chaos. You use chaos to grow. You understand that when the storm hits, most people will panic and run for cover. And while they're hiding, you're the only one left standing on the field, calmly scanning for the opportunities the storm just uncovered. Let's bring it all together. Pillar 1. Reclaim your biology. Use the 5-second gap to move from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. Pillar 2. Filter the world. Distinguish between the noise of the day and the signal of the decade. Pillar 3. Master the matrix. Use SWOT 2.0 to turn static observations into dynamic plays. Pillar 4. Tighten the loop. Use the OODA loop to move faster than the world can react to you. Strategy is not a gift. It's a discipline. It's a muscle that grows when it's strained. If you're still listening, you're already in the top 1% of thinkers. Most people don't have the discipline to sit through a few minutes deep dive into the mechanics of power. But you did. Because here's the truth. Knowledge without execution is just entertainment. The strategists are the ones who act. So stop watching others play the game and start making your own moves. Until next time, stay strategic. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content.